Hey everybody, Mike Iaconelli back out in the shop. We've got another good video for you today. And in today's shop, we're going to be talking about my top 4 baits for the month of October. My top 4 baits for October. Let's start by talking about October. Depending on where you live, October's fall for sure, but it could either be, that early fall, fall transition where fish are coming from summer to their fall pattern. Or if you live further north, this is full fall feed going on right now, guys. This is that middle fall period where fish are feeding up before the approaching winter, right? The harsher the winters, the more those fish have to feed up during this period. But in either case, October is fall fishing, guys. You know how I do these videos. I'm going to break it into giving you 2 baits if you live, let's call it Virginia North. Draw a straight line, Virginia North. I'm going to give you 2 baits. If you're in the southern part of the country, I'm going to give you 2 baits for that as well. The Carolinas, Georgia, Alabama, all the way down to Florida, Louisiana, Texas. I'm going to think about you guys as well. Okay, let's start with my number 1 bait for October, fall bait. And if you live in Virginia, middle of the country north, dude, this is fall feed. These fish are eating. They know it's getting cold. A lot of times they have the bait ganged up in the backs of pockets, creeks, coves. They have the fish ganged up, the bait ganged up on shoals, on humps, on high spots in the main lake. This is a feeding period. They're very heavily oriented on eating forage, right? Bait fish style forage. Herring, shad, alewife, perch, anything that swims. That's what they're eating. And when they're in that fall feed in October, especially when you're seeing pods of bait around you, you're in a creek and you see bait, and then you see, if you're in the back of a pocket and you see birds, happens a lot in October. I love a topwater. A lot of topwater choices that you can throw in October, but to me, this is the time when you want a bait that has coverage. I like throwing a walking style bait. In particular, there's 2 by Berkley that I like a lot. The Drift Walker is a little bit more subtle. It's a little bit thinner walking style bait. It's got 3 sets of trebles. And then the Jaywalker, more your traditional spook, side to side slashing action, a little bit fatter body. Either case, if you're in October and you're seeing the bait and the fish busting, happens a lot in October, hard to beat a topwater. Guys, along these same lines, my second favorite bait for the month of October, Virginia North, and Virginia for sure, because this has happened to me on Kerr Reservoir, on Gadsden Lake. It's happened to me on Lake Norman. And in October, when those fish are corralling the bait, and that's the best way I can describe it. They're corralling the bait fish in the pockets, the creeks, the coves. If you're on a lake up north and there are no creeks or coves, they're corralling the bait on humps and on shoals. When they're in that wolf packing mode in October, I love a lipless bait. In addition, outside of the spring, because listen, pre-spawn, February, March, April, a rattle trap, a lipless is excellent. And you know that. But in that October month, when they're feeding, we're talking fall feed, straight up feed, a lipless is great. Think about it. Look at the shape. Remember, they're forage oriented. They're eating a lot of shad, a lot of little bluegill, it's all bait oriented. Look at the shape and size of those. I really love these lipless baits. This is the Berkley War Pig. Really sizes, guys. I don't mess around with a lot of sizes or colors. Half ounce, quarter ounce. And really the 2 sizes I use I'm paying attention to the size of the forage they're eating. Generally, if they're eating bigger shad, bigger forage, I go to a half. If they're eating little tiny stuff, I go to the quarter. Colors on these lipless baits, guys. Shad color, pearls, whites, chromes, right? In October, they're feeding up. This is the fall feed up north, and they're after forage. It's a great imitation of it. I can cover a lot of water. I burn it, I rip it and pause it. It's a great way to elicit a reaction strike as well. So number 2, lipless bait. All right, guys, let's continue on my top 4 baits for the month of October. Now we're going to go below Virginia. We're talking about the southern parts of the country. And because we're getting geographically further, things are happening later. So instead of it being full-blown fall feed, a lot of times when you get to South Carolina and Georgia and all those, Texas, Louisiana, all those places, Oklahoma, it's more of that fall transition, right? These are bass that are leaving their summering places and they're heading back to the creeks. If you watched our video on fall fishing, you know all about these movements. But fish are moving in October in the South. Because of that, I need a bait that can cover a lot of water. Guys, there's no better bait in the month of October in the South, in my opinion, than a crankbait. I really like a crankbait that covers 6 to 15 feet, right? That's a good zone. And I'm going to use a crankbait that is designed to get to those depths. So my 3 favorite, a Berkley Dime 6, Berkley Dime 10, and Berkley Dime 15. And 6 foot, 10 foot, 15 foot, right? It's going to really cover that zone for me. But all I'm doing is basically I'm looking at where the creek and the cove is. I'm saying, all right, they were out here in the main lake in the summer, and I'm following that contour line. I'm following the break line into the pocket. The bait's moving back there. The bass are following them. And a crankbait is a great way to catch them. Number 1 rule for that crankbait, just make sure it touches the bottom. So as I go down that break line, I'm trying to be conscious of the crankbait hitting and deflecting. Moving fish, moving lure. Okay, last but not least, guys, and this is bait number 4. My favorite bait for the month of October in the South, when there is grass, okay? Grass in October in these southern fisheries is a different animal. When you have grass that's still living, right? Remember, this is October in the South. It's not October, November in the North where your grass is dying. Gunnersville, Toledo Bend, Lake Fort, anywhere that has submergent grass, Louisiana, the bayous, Okeechobee, right? In October, that grass is still alive. But guess what starts happening in October, guys, in that grass? The bluegill starts moving back shallow, right? Fall transition. When that bluegill moves shallow, many times in these places that have grass in October in the South, the bluegill will get in that grass. Milfoil, hydrilla, duckweed, eelgrass, bulrush, cabbage, coontail. If you have grass in the month of October and the bluegill have moved in, and you're going to hear this, guys. Month of October, you're on Gunnersville, big giant mat, and you get into the right area of that mat, and you hear the bluegill have moved in. And for that kind of fishing, in the month of October, nothing beats punching a bait or fishing a frog in and over that grass, okay? So, we'll start with the punching. A big heavy jig. This is a 3/4 ounce missile flip out. A 1 ounce tungsten weight with a beaver style bait like a max scent creature hog, right? And love the bluegill colors because I'm trying to imitate bluegill that have moved in this grass. So this is called Brewgill by Missile. Your green pumpkins, your oranges, stuff like that. Punching in the vegetation. Even cattails right in Florida, getting inside of it where I'm hearing those bluegills. Or the second alternative is that frog, guys. And especially on days where they're feeding up, a cloudy, high sun that hasn't pushed under the mat, cloudy if they're around the holes, if they're feeding up, I love to cover water with a frog. Looks like a bluegill, black frog. It's the absence of color. This is a Mullock's popping frog. But that frog's up there popping, almost making the same sound as those bluegill, right? It looks like a bluegill silhouette from the bottom, and you get some explosive bites in October on top of the vegetation, okay? Guys, October is a great month. If you're not hunting, if you're still fishing, a lot of people are, go out and think about what's happening. If you're up north, it's the fall feed. Topwater, Lipless, great baits for the month of October. If you're down south and the fish are a little more transitional still, use a crankbait to find them. And last but not least, if you're in a place with a lot of grass in the south in October, the bluegill are going to move in, punch and frog, and you're going to get some really big bites in the month of October. Guys, I hope you enjoyed this shop. We're talking about my top 4 baits for the month of October, north and south. And I hope you're enjoying these videos. If you like what you're hearing, if you like what you're seeing, stop, take a second, hit the subscribe button. Because when you subscribe, we'll notify you on new content. It's dropping every single week. If you're already a subscriber, tell your fishing friends about Mike Iaconelli Fishing on YouTube. We're here to help educate, hopefully catch you a few more fish. Try those 4 baits in the month of October, and you're going to get some bass. Bye. Hey everybody, Mike Iaconelli out in the shop. Thanks for watching, and if you like this video, you have to check out that one, and I hope you like them.